Coach Krys here again with another selected question. And this question is coming from a mom in Los Angeles. The question goes as follows. My now husband, myself, and our children moved to LA almost 2 years ago. Our transition hasn't been as smooth sailing as anticipated. Our teenage girls have seemingly adjusted well, but as a parent, I think they are moving way too fast. I understand that they want to live their best life, but what I define as a best life isn't what they seem to like. What do you suggest? Well, personally, I recently experienced a time where I was able to see the difference between someone who lived their best life versus someone who lived a good life. And so happens that it was at a funeral, at a memorial service actually, where although the lady, they had lived their best life, but they, I think it looked like they were more interested in living a good life. So what I suggest to you, I have no children, but what I would suggest to you is perhaps sitting down, speaking with the girls, and helping them to understand the difference between living a good life and living their best life. Help them to understand what that looks like. Also, share with them on a very relatable, practical base basis where they can understand what you define and what you imagine their best life to look like. Also, hear them out to understand what they feel and perceive that their best life should be. Help them also to understand your real reason as to why you and your husband moved them west from east, so that they can have a better understanding and not look at this as a free for all. Hopefully that will help. But if I may add, um, the difference between what I perceive to be someone living their best life and a person or people living a good life is that sometimes your best life can result into chaos, trouble, and negative things. Your best life can be that you just want to live free. You just want to do things just because I'm young. Um, your best life could be that you're overspending because you never know what tomorrow brings. Your best life can be I can get married, I can get a divorce. Your best life can be doing things that can later on catch up to you in the future and in a negative way. But your a good life can be a life of principle, a life of leadership, a life that leads influence, a life that leads positivity, love, all the very things that you, a person who's freely living this best life carelessly, but together with the priority of being good. And that speaks about character, that speaks about conscious decisions, and not following the trend, but being original, doing you, being you, but doing you and being you in a fun and free way, but with guidelines, conviction, principle, and things like that. So what I would say is that, for sure, travel, for sure, be free and young. For sure, I agree with those things, but I agree with that to a certain extent, only because a lot of times when we become of age, mid 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, early 40s, we get to age and then we think, man, I should have did this different. And then you begin to live in regret. So also, I think that you should allow them to understand the guidelines of living under your roof. 30 years old and living at have mom and dad's rules. Doesn't mean that you're not an adult. It just means that you need to obey and abide by the rules that apply under that castle. It's not a free for all, and there needs to be respect, there needs to be honor, there needs to be consciousness. I read the book Becoming from Michelle Obama, and I admired the way that their parents raised Michelle Obama and her brother, because they gave them a sense of freedom. I'm not sure they had a curfew, But they were given the ability to make conscious decisions that would impact their lives in a positive way. When they made mistakes, their parents gave them a moment to reflect and to think about what it is that they did and what they could have done differently and better. Um, their parents gave them the freedom, but they were disciplined. They were structured. They were raised. They were brought up in a very mannerable way. But they were given the freedom to make conscious decisions based on where they were at that time and where they perceived to be going. Their parents made it very clear to them how much they needed to work, what mom had to do, what dad had to do in order for their household to be at peace. So what I would say is that, do give them the freedom because you don't want them to misbehave or to act in a way that is embarrassing to your family when you guys are not around. Give them the freedom, but also explain to them the rules, the guidelines that apply in that house, as long as they live under your roof. But also explain to them the difference and the importance between living your best life versus living a good life. I hope that I was able to help you and help anyone else who's wondering, what does it really mean to live a good life and what does it really feel like to live a best life? Be free and God bless you.